Welcome to another Outside the Box tutorial video. I'm Rachel Tessman from StampYourArtOut.com, and like past months, I'm going to share with you several alternate project ideas that I came up with using the contents of Stampin' Up's October 2016 Season of Gratitude Paper Pumpkin Kit. These are the items that came in this kit: the step-by-step photo direction pamphlet, and the supplies for making 8 adorable autumn shaker cards. You get sequins and window sheets, die-cut and prepared cardstock, beautiful envelopes, twine, special adhesives, this chocolate chip colored ink pad, and this wonderful stamp set. I love that you get everything cut and ready to assemble. If you intend to make the projects as shown in the directions, all you need is your clear block for using with your stamps, which gets shipped in your first kit, and a scissors. These kits were initially designed over 3 years ago with beginning crafters in mind, but they make such great projects just with the directions that already come in the kit that any level of paper crafter would love them. What I do is share even more ideas you can create with the kit contents. This way, those of us getting these kits can go beyond and create even more. If you watch this video and discover you'd like to give Paper Pumpkin kits a try, you can click on the subscribe to Paper Pumpkin link below in my video description. It's $20 per month, including the shipping, and you can subscribe for many or even just 1 month. There is no obligation, so I encourage you to give it a try. I offer new ideas for each month's kit, and if you subscribe with me as your demonstrator, I send you even more ideas each month that are exclusive to my subscribers only. I'm diving right in because I'm excited to share. Keep in mind, most of the extra tools and products that I use in this video can be purchased directly through me. They're listed below in my video description and linked to my online store. Also keep in mind that you can click in the middle of my video and it will take you directly to my blog post where I've shared even more information about Paper Pumpkin Kits of Creativity and close-up photos of the projects that I've created. Let's get started. The first outside-the-box idea that I'm going to share with you in video 1 is just a slightly different version than the one that you're supposed to make with the kit. I'm going to add old olive ink, some snail adhesive, the paper trimmer, and then some vanilla cardstock. The first thing I'm going to do is cut my cardstock so that it's 5.5 by 8.5, and then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4, and that will give me the perfect card base for this card. Then I'm going to add some supplies from the kit. Most of them are the same. The only things that I won't be using will be the card base that's given in the kit and then these 2 labels. So let's take this piece here and let's trim that to 1 3/4 inches wide here. Okay, this piece is going to go right across the middle like this. Let's start by wrapping some twine around the top though. And remember our trick for the twine, to get all those kinks out, you just want to run your fingernail along there and it really smooths out the twine. Okay, so now we're going to set that aside for just a minute. We're going to stamp these pieces with our chocolate chip ink, and I'm going to use the regular size ink pad because it goes a lot faster for me. And of course I have my ergonomic blocks that you can get in our online store. So you just ink this piece up, that stamp, and then you stamp it right over the top. And I love that our stamps are clear so you can see directly through. You can line up that whole entire piece so that it's covering the whole surface. Now I do want to point out that the cardstock that came in the kit this month is a little bit shinier or coated than we're used to. So what you want to do is take and turn it upside down and give it a good rub onto your scrap paper, and that will remove any excess ink that didn't soak in all the way yet. It'll also prevent your fingers from getting too dark and too splotchy. I love using my snail. It's quick and easy. It's quicker than those glue dots that come in the kits, but you can certainly use the glue dots that come in the kit to adhere these pieces of paper. Okay, so this is a quick check. You'll want to just lay this over the top and see if everything lines up well. And if it does, you're set to go. If you see, say, something like that, then you don't have your papers in the right spot. So they don't have to be even and perfect underneath. They just have to make sure that, you just have to make sure that they can disappear when you put that over the top, okay? Now we want to stamp our little message down here, and I'm going to choose the hello image from the stamp set, and we're stamping that in our olive green color to coordinate with the ribbon, or the twine. And then we're going to add our window sheet to the back side of this piece here. The next step is to take these sequins and add them into the little corresponding square color pieces here. I've put them into little containers so they're easier to access, and I'm using a toothpick that has a little adhesive that's dry at the end. I put the mono liquid glue at the end of this toothpick, allowed it to dry so it's tacky, and now it can just grab. It can grab these little sequins, one color, one piece at a time. The next thing I did is I put the foam adhesive strips along the back side of this. I put 2 long ones here, and then I took and cut tiny little individual pieces so that I could make real tight borders around each leaf. That way the sequins won't mix together and go into the other leaf areas. So before peeling off the backing on the adhesive, I'm now going to take a Kleenex, and the powdery little microscopic stuff that comes off, you know, when you blow a Kleenex, there's like little tiny powdery pieces. Well, that is going to rub off on the edges of these foam adhesive strips so that they're less sticky on the side, because sometimes there's a little bit of tackiness that can be felt if you're feeling the side of the foam strips. So now we've gotten rid of that. Now we can peel off all the backings. And then I've made sure that my sequins are centered in each square. I'm going to breathe a little bit of air on the back side of this, and that's going to release any static electricity that might be on the window side there. And then I'm going to enclose all of my sequins. Ta-da! They are now within their foam adhesive jails. Their little jail cell there. And then that way all the sequins stay within their color little area, and we have a finished card. Isn't that so pretty? So those tips can be applied to the actual card that you're supposed to make with the kit. If you want to keep your windows separate so that these sequins don't fall down all the way, then you'll want to make sure that you have little separations between. And the closer you have the adhesive around your window, around the leaf edge, the more you'll be able to see them when the card is just sitting still. Okay, let's do another alternate project. This one's a 3D project, and it's based on a pumpkin that I shared just recently on my blog. Created this very simply with strips of designer paper and some ribbon that's been curled into a vine, and then of course we have a leaf. So let's make a pumpkin decoration using this kit. The first thing that you'll want to do is take and open up 2 envelopes from the kit. You'll want to be very careful so that you don't tear any of this portion here. Next, we'll grab our paper trimmer and a long scissors, and we're going to cut along all the score lines. And you'll remove all those flaps. Don't worry about being perfect, just get it as close as you can to a straight line. And then we're going to position this into our paper trimmer. Move the scoring blade out of the way, and we're going to cut strips that are 3/4 of an inch wide in this direction. And just go ahead and discard this piece or save it for some other project that you're going to make with the kit. We'll do that with both envelopes. And then you'll end up with 14 strips that are 4.5 inches long by 3 3/4 inches wide. For this pumpkin, I used 14 strips of designer paper that were 6 inches by 1 inch wide. Okay, so the next step is you're going to take all of these, you're going to layer them together, and you're going to take a piercing tool. Oops, sorry, here we go. A piercing tool, and this is our Stampin' Pierce mat. You'll want to have a cushion underneath, such as this mat, and you're going to just start drilling a little hole through the paper about 1/4 of an inch from the end and centered. And once you have that all the way through, you can just hang on to it like that. We're now going to thread a needle. And the needle has to have a pretty big eye in it. So we're going to use a needle threader, actually, to help us out here. We're going to put the twine through there, make this go through the eye of the needle. And now we can thread this through the hole that we've created in our paper strip. You're going to come through from the side, the side that you want to have showing, so the outside of the pumpkin. It's going to go like this. So you want to come from the outside to the inside. After you've done that, then you want to create a hole on the opposite side. So you're going to do the same thing, grab your paper piercer, and create a hole, again about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. And once you've done that, you'll continue threading with that needle all the way through to the other side. So this is what it should look like. We're going to scoot these things out of the way. We don't need them right now. In fact, you can take the needle out, and we're going to trim up the ribbon, or the twine. And you actually don't need a ton, so we're going to trim it about like so. So we got about 4 inches coming out on either end. Let's start with the shortest end, and we're going to tie a knot. You'll have to tie a pretty thick knot, so you'll do it once, twice, maybe 3 or 4 times to get it really nice and thick so that it won't come out of the paper. And that works. With ribbon that's large like this, I only had to knot it once. So it just depends on the type of ribbon or twine you're using. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to curve this paper into a C shape. Okay? And then we're going to tie another knot on this side. Now it might help to go beyond and just scoot that paper even further out of the way so that you can tie that knot. Now we're going to go ahead and just make sure that the curve in our designer paper, our envelope paper, is arched the right way. And then we're going to trim the bottom, and we're going to start separating out the papers here like this. Okay, and then the last step for the vine, the twine part, is to take and just put it between your fingers and start giving it a little bit of a curl. This one might be a little long. I'm going to trim it just a bit. It's a little heavy. But isn't this cute? It's curling up just like a little pumpkin vine. Okay, and then we'll add a leaf. And we're going to color that with some ink. So we're going to use our Old Olive ink, and we're going to use the Old Olive dauber. So I label all my daubers and my sponges so that I don't get mixed up on which color or which one is which color. And you just start rubbing that color on. Now again, this cardstock that comes in the kit is coated. So you'll see I can wipe off a lot of that extra color. So you'll want to be careful to make sure that you're removing any extra color so that it's not getting all over your fingers and then getting all over your project. You may even need to give it some drying time, and you could probably use like a heat tool to add that drying time, to make that drying time go a little bit faster. So we're going to flip that over and do the other side, and then we'll allow it to dry. After your leaf has dried, then you'll take your bone folder and you'll give it a little bit of a curl. And then I've already applied one of the glue dots from our kit to the top of the pumpkin near the stem. I'm just going to add that leaf right there. And there's our finished pumpkin. And there's our second one that I made earlier. Aren't they cute? They're going to be great for decorations. The next project I'm going to do is another alternate card idea. We're going to use 6 ink pads. We're going to use Delightful Dijon, Pumpkin Pie, Old Olive, Cajun Craze, Real Red, and Chocolate Chip. And I have coordinating daubers ready to go. I label the daubers that I use. So like for instance, this one here says Chocolate Chip on the side. That way I know which ones go with what, and I don't have to clean them off and wait for them to dry in between. I'm also going to be using some clear embossing powder and my heat tool. And I put my clear embossing powder into a container like this, so that it's easy for me to just put right on top of my project, and I keep all my mess contained that way. We're going to start out by getting a little messy. So we're going to punch out these 3 leaves and toss that aside. We won't need that for now. Let's go ahead and take this leaf here and sponge it with some Old Olive ink. So if you remember, the ink does not stay on these leaves very well. It's a more coated type of paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to emboss it so that we can have nice, deep, rich color. That way we don't have to have that light green. Okay, so we're going to get messy. Let's do the Delightful Dijon next. And if you feel like your daubers are getting colors mixed together, then just kind of tap them off to remove some of the color before moving on to the next one. Now, of course, you don't want to be having the heat hit your fingers on a heat tool. It's very hot heat. So we're aiming it away from us. There we go. So there's our leaf. It's all embossed. Nice bright colors this time. Okay, let's grab the next one. And now we're going to work on the front of our card with chocolate chip ink and the chocolate chip dauber. We're going to take that dauber and just add a little bit of ink here and there. To this background stamp. You'll clean off in between. And we're just creating a fun little background that kind of flows here and there on the card front. Now we're going to wrap the front with twine. And the final steps are to add our leaves and our sentiment. And there's our simple card. Here's another version. I kind of like the bright yellow on that leaf there. But there's a couple versions of that same style. All right, the last project is coming up. So now it's time to make our project life layout. We're going to be using the Variety Pack number 2, layout 10, and that's the one with the 2" by 2" small little squares all over it. Love that one. And we're going to be using some early espresso cardstock. I'm also pulling out a stamp set from over a year ago from September 2015's Paper Pumpkin because it has a great phrase in it for a title for this scrapbook page. Truly grateful. It's going to be a Thanksgiving type of layout. And so anyways, yeah, pull from those old paper pumpkin stamp sets, because they are great to keep using over and over and over again. First, we're going to trim this down. We're going to trim out 6 pieces that are 2 inches by 2 inches, and then we're also going to have a small photo mat that's 3.5 by 3.5. So I've already done that. I've got those pieces ready to go. The small 2 inch by 2 inch ones, of course, are going to fit in here. And this is going to be a photo mat for this pocket. It's going to be tilted somewhat. We're going to take and trim down an envelope. We're going to trim it down so that it fits into this 6x4 pocket, and then it's going to have a photo sticking out of it. So you're going to have portions of the envelope that are not visible. I wanted to get more of the flap, so when I trimmed it down, when I trimmed this down, I went, of course, to the 4-inch mark. So you just want to use this left edge here along the 4-inch mark and give it a trim. And then I took and trimmed off about 1 inch on the bottom. Yeah, I think I trimmed out exactly 1 inch on the bottom. And then I put it up to the 6-inch mark and trimmed off. There was just a small portion of the tab that didn't appear. So as you can see, if I lay this right next to it, this is what I got from that envelope, this piece. And then we will have these pieces that we did for our original card, the card that comes in the kit. I want you to stamp 2 sets of those with that background crackle image stamp. And we're going to lay those on these pieces here. You're going to use the 2 leftover leaves. Remember when we made that pumpkin, this one here, we used this leaf. Well, we had 2 other leaves that were left over. So those are going to become accents on portions of the page. And then we're going to stamp some of that crackle background on just a portion of this stamp here. That way we won't have lines in it, but we're just going to stamp the right half of it. That's going to be put here. And then the last piece, besides the sequins, we have to add sequins, but the last piece is I stamped that truly grateful or truly thankful onto a piece of this orange cardstock that comes in the kit. So I took one of these and I trimmed it down to 3/4 of an inch right here. And that's going to go right there. Okay? So let's start assembling. And here is that finished layout. Did you know that we have a tool? I don't know if I've ever shown this. Mine is looking kind of ratty, but this is called an adhesive eraser. Do you remember when I was putting adhesive on the back of this piece here, I put it on all 4 corners and then realized that this corner is not going to need any adhesive. So I then quick rubbed this on the back and picked up the adhesive that I didn't need. So that is a great tool to have, very inexpensive too. So I would say put that on your wish list. Okay, so here we go. The old olive pieces here represent where the photos are going to be added on the page, and then we've got all the other elements. This is also, of course, a photo. And I've got all the pieces within their pockets. This is going to be a great page to display all the photos from our Thanksgiving Day family celebrations. Thank you for watching. It builds creativity to think outside the box. Remember, these fun surprise kits of creativity are just $20 a month, which includes shipping costs. You can do them alone for a 30-minute creative escape, or you can share the creating with others. They make great gifts, and the holidays are just around the corner. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can catch more paper pumpkin videos that I've shared using past kits, and more that I'll share with future kits. Also, be sure to visit my blog at stampyourartout.com so that you can view close-up photos of these projects and see photos of other paper pumpkin kit ideas. If you're watching my video on YouTube, look for links in my description below. And to see some extra exclusive project ideas, get your paper pumpkin subscription started with me as your demonstrator. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.